Working memory, a core executive function skill. Working memory is not just about memory, it's about mental juggling. What is working memory? Working memory is your brain's mental workspace, the temporary storage system that allows you to hold, manipulate, and use information in real time. It's what helps you stay on track in the middle of a task, remember what you were just about to do, and adapt when plans change. Without it, even simple tasks can feel fragmented or overwhelming. Think of working memory like a mental sticky note. It doesn't hold information forever, but it gives you just enough space to manage what's happening right now. Working memory is at the core of many everyday skills, including following multi-step directions without repeatedly checking instructions, keeping track of where you are in a project without losing your place, remembering what you intended to do next, like why you walked into a room, switching tasks while holding the key details in mind, updating your plan on the fly when something unexpected happens. When working memory is strong, you can juggle several pieces of information at once, making it easier to problem solve, organize, and complete tasks efficiently. When it's under strain, whether from stress, fatigue, or neurodivergence, things like forgetting the next step or repeatedly starting over are common. Core abilities of working memory include holding information in mind while using it. Example, calculating a tip in your head while remembering the total on the receipt. Remembering multi-step directions or processes. Example, following a recipe without rereading the same step every 30 seconds. Mentally tracking progress within tasks. Example, knowing you've already sent 3 out of 5 emails on your list. Recalling what to do next without external prompts. Example, folding laundry and remembering that you still need to start the dishwasher, and updating information as tasks or situations change. Example, adjusting your driving route mid-commute after hearing a traffic update. Working memory is a critical part of the executive function system. It supports planning, prioritizing, and staying flexible. Strengthening it, even in small ways, can dramatically reduce the mental friction that makes daily life harder. Working memory challenges. When working memory is under strain, daily life can feel like juggling too many balls in the air and dropping them more often than you'd like. These challenges aren't about laziness or lack of intelligence. They're the natural result of having limited mental workspace to hold and process information. Common challenges look like getting distracted and losing your place mentally. Even small interruptions can wipe out what you were just doing or thinking about. Example, you're writing an email, a notification pops up, and suddenly you've forgotten the sentence you were in the middle of. Forgetting what you were doing mid-task. Task blackouts are common with working memory struggles. You start an activity, shift your focus for just a second, and then can't remember what you were about to do. Example, you walk into the kitchen only to stand there wondering why you went in the first place. Losing track of steps in a sequence. Multi-step tasks can feel like a maze without a map. You might skip steps, repeat them unnecessarily, or feel like you're constantly checking instructions. Example, you're following a recipe and realize you've added salt twice, or forgotten to preheat the oven altogether. Needing repeated reminders to complete everyday tasks. Without external cues, tasks can slip off your mental radar entirely. You might rely on sticky notes, alarms, or repeated verbal reminders from others. Example, you intend to take the laundry out of the washer, but only remember after someone mentions it, again, and struggling to follow conversations or instructions in real time. When information comes at you quickly, it can be hard to hold on to each piece long enough to process it. This can lead to missed details or needing things repeated. Example, during a meeting, you hear the first 2 steps of an instruction, but miss the third because you're still mentally processing the first 2. These challenges aren't personal failings. They're signs that your working memory is overloaded. By identifying these patterns, you can use targeted strategies and tools to reduce mental strain and free up the cognitive bandwidth needed for focus and follow through. The unique challenges for neurodivergent minds. For many neurodivergent individuals, especially those with ADHD, autism, or learning disabilities, working memory can feel like an invisible barrier. It's not simply about forgetfulness. Instead, it's a mismatch between how the brain processes and stores information and how most environments expect people to function. This mismatch affects far more than academics or work performance. Weak working memory can ripple into emotional regulation, task initiation, and even basic daily routines. For neurodivergent minds, these challenges are often amplified by a few key factors. Neurodivergent specific contributors include cognitive overload. When multiple thoughts, stimuli, or tasks compete for attention, the mental workspace can overflow quickly. This leaves little room for holding steps in mind or planning ahead. Example: you sit down to pay bills but are distracted by an email notification, the sound of the washing machine, and a new idea you want to jot down. Suddenly, you can't remember which bill you were paying. Weaker, short-term storage. Some neurodivergent brains have difficulty retaining small chunks of information long enough to use them effectively. This makes it harder to complete tasks that require step-by-step recall without external support. Example: following a multi-step math problem, or remembering all the ingredients for a sandwich without repeatedly checking the list. High distractibility. Every time attention shifts, even for a second, working memory can reset, causing important details to drop. Example: you're halfway through folding laundry, answer a quick text, and return to the room only to wonder what stage of the task you are on. Difficulty with verbal working memory. For many neurodivergent individuals, holding spoken instructions or conversations in mind is particularly challenging. The brain prioritizes decoding and processing language, which leaves less capacity to retain what was just said. Example: someone gives you directions with 5 steps, but by the 3rd step, the first 2 have already slipped away. Finally, when neurodivergent folks struggle, it's often because there's a lack of external scaffolding. Most workplaces, schools, and even home systems are designed with neurotypical recall abilities in mind. Without visual aids, written checklists, or clear structure, neurodivergent individuals are often left to rely solely on their working memory, setting them up for frustration or failure. Example: being expected to remember verbal instructions from a meeting without follow-up notes or task lists. These challenges aren't a lack of effort or ability, they reflect a need for different supports. By adding external scaffolding and working memory-friendly tools, neurodivergent individuals can dramatically reduce cognitive friction and create environments that work with their brains, not against them. Working memory can be supported and strengthened with intentional strategies. These techniques don't fix working memory, but reduce mental friction, allowing your brain to focus on problem solving and follow through rather than holding everything in your head. Here are some strategies for strengthening working memory skills. Strategy number 1: externalize information whenever possible. When you take information out of your head and put it somewhere visible, you free up mental space for action. This is one of the most effective ways to reduce working memory strain. This could mean using checklists, sticky notes, or whiteboards, breaking tasks into steps and keeping those steps visible, and creating cue cards as visual guides for routines. Strategy number 2: reduce cognitive load. The less you force your brain to juggle, the more mental bandwidth you'll have for what matters. Simplifying and streamlining tasks helps you stay focused and prevents memory resets. Strategy number 3: practice recall and reinforcement techniques. Working memory improves with practice. Using repetition and retrieval strategies strengthens your brain's ability to hold and manipulate information. What progress looks like. Improving working memory isn't about suddenly remembering every detail. It's about building systems and strategies that make it easier to function in daily life. Over time, these supports reduce cognitive friction, help you stay on track, and create a greater sense of mental clarity and confidence. Signs of progress include needing fewer reminders to stay on track. Instead of relying on constant nudges from apps, sticky notes, or other people, you begin to naturally remember the next step or check your list at the right moment. Example, you used to need 3 alarms to remember to switch the laundry. Now, one is enough, or you remember on your own. Another sign of progress is catching yourself sooner when you lose your place mentally. Progress means recognizing memory slips earlier and redirecting before you drift too far off course. Example, you start to get distracted mid-task, but quickly pause. Check your checklist and pick up where you left off without restarting from scratch. A third sign of progress is using external supports consistently and with confidence. Tools like checklists, cue cards, or timers become second nature rather than extra work. You no longer feel guilty for needing them. Instead, they feel like part of your normal workflow. Example, you keep a whiteboard of ongoing tasks and update it daily without feeling overwhelmed or resistant. Yet another positive sign is following through more smoothly on multi-step tasks. Tasks that once felt overwhelming become more manageable because you can keep track of steps or break them into pieces with ease. Example, you can now cook a full recipe without repeatedly rereading every instruction because you've learned to anchor each step visually or verbally. Another great sign is geeling less mental clutter or overwhelm mid-task. As your brain has fewer details to juggle, you experience more calm and focus. Mental space opens up, making problem-solving and decision-making easier. Example, while paying bills, you no longer feel scattered. You have a clear, linear process that carries you through to completion. Thanks for watching.